This is for the leaders, the visionaries, the hope bringers, kindness instigators. This is your place to get loved, poured into, activated, and inspired. Well, good morning. Welcome to Fireside Friday, August 29th. It's really beautiful to be in this space with you this morning. When I come into the Zoom room every Friday, I usually have some music playing as soon as I open up the room, and it's kind of music that I'm saturating myself in, but also an invitation for others who may be coming in early. And this morning, and for the last couple weeks, I've probably been playing a guy named Ben Rector, and he's one of my favorite artists. And the song that was just playing before I hit record and turned down the music was called Thank You. And I have been struck a lot this week by just how thankful that I am to be in this place with you, but also for life as a whole. For those of you who have been with me for the last few weeks, I've been sharing a little more openly about some of the grief that I've been coming through. And it's not always fun to be in a season of sadness or overwhelm, grief. And I feel my soul kind of coming out of that a little bit. But I find myself really cherishing the space that we get to be in, no matter how we're feeling, no matter what we're holding. That love holds space for all those things. I feel like love is one of those things that um, it feels like home. I saw a quote this morning that said, home is not a place you come from, but it's a place where you don't have to belong or figure out how to belong. You just belong. Um, and I think that no matter the season that you find yourself in today, this morning, as you listen, if you're listening to the replay, no matter the season that you're in, I just felt like it was important for us to hear and be reminded that love can never be parted from us, no matter what we're feeling, no matter what we're facing. That home and love is something that we came from, that we return to, that is always available to us, even when we're feeling icky or jarring or at odds with ourselves, that we can never be separated from love because love literally made who we are. I think that's something that my spirit always craved to believe, but felt separated from because of a lot of the religious conditioning that I was a part of growing up. In an evangelical background, you are constantly taught about how you are separate from love, that you have to get back to love, that you have to believe specific things for love to belong to you. And I don't believe that anymore. I don't know that I ever believed that. I felt trapped inside of that mechanism, that that had to be the way that the world worked until I decided that's actually not how I feel. That's actually not the truth. Because I think when truth hits us, or when we hear something that feels so resonant and so truthful, it's almost like we feel this expansive thing in us. Sometimes it's also a fear of like, oh, like, am I allowed to have that expansion? Am I allowed to believe in this new way? Um, that's okay too. But I think that there's this thing that started happening when I started really getting in touch with Evelyn and really coming home to the truths that I feel like I've always felt or intuited, but didn't know how to claim because of the world that I was living inside of was so fixed on keeping me separate and separated from. And I think that when we are remembering. That's what it feels like. It feels like a remembrance when truth washes over us, when something is spoken over us or illuminated for us in such a way that it feels like a homecoming. It feels like a remembrance. It feels like a belonging to. And I feel like one of the things that has gone on too in the season that we're in, politically, all the things, there are a lot of things going on in the world. And as healers, as people who want to see more love, healing, expansion, acceptance, and freedom in the world, we're feeling a lot. And that is part of our work, is to feel it. It is to feel it. It is to be in that collective, but we don't also have to keep holding it so tightly. Sometimes we need to let love also carry us through. And what I mean by that is remembering that it's not all on our shoulders. We get a responsibility and we have a responsibility, but we also are part of a whole. And and I think again that has been such a balm for me to remember and to be reminded of constantly, is that this is not my journey alone. We are journeying together, and that there are so many more like me than so many more who are not like me. And what I mean by that is, again, people who want to see, we want thriving families, we want thriving communities, we want accepting places. I believe those things. Um, and again, one of the things that felt really resonant for today and for this week's message is I was actually, I said it out loud this morning and I'm like, that's it. I went back to my phone because I was doing something. I was like, what am I looking for? I'm like, that is the message. What am I looking for right now? What am I looking for? What am I looking for? Because when we start paying attention to what am I looking for, that sets the tone for everything else. If I'm looking for a red sock, it's going to hone my attention. If I'm looking for ways in the world to be disappointed or disheartened, I will find them. If I'm looking for places where other helpers are, where there's inspiration and love, this week I had a call with my mentor, Nicole, and a group that I'm part of with her. And one of the things that she said, and she's here in this space too. So whenever I'm talking about her, I'm like, yeah, which is often if you hang around with me. But one of the things that she asked our group to think about this week was one of our first memories of joy when we were a child, just the first thing that comes to our mind. And I was surprised because the first thing that I thought about wasn't something that I've thought about in a long time. It was actually about my brother. When I found out that I was having a little brother, I was 7, or it would have been 6 going on 7. I don't really know, somewhere in there. And I had a neighbor who pulled me around in a little wagon in our neighborhood, and I was just yelling, "I'm having a brother!" And I don't remember the neighbor. Maybe she's like, "She's having a brother." I don't know. But it also brought tears with a lot of the joy, because there's still some feelings that I'm working through around how I grew up with him. But I was struck by, again, what was I looking for? What am I looking for? Um, and I, Josh is my brother's name. He's my middle brother. I have 2 younger brothers, but Josh is my middle brother. So he was the first one to break me into a 2-child home, which honestly wasn't so joyful to begin with. We have become better friends as we're older, but it definitely was the Wild West in our house. At least as he got a little older and got into my life in some ways, because growing up alone as an only child, with your own things and things like that, someone comes to edge into your bubble a little bit. And that's what I thought I wanted. But when I found out that my parents, and this is just an aside, but when I found out my parents were having another boy with Caleb, I cried. So I was like, I don't want another one of those. I've already had one of those, and I really want a girl around here. And I was almost 13 when Caleb was born. So we're pretty spread out. And I look back now though too and think I don't know. I feel like I've been given so many little sisters in my life. That's how I feel. Anyway, so many wonderful women who I consider as sisters, and that has really been a beautiful experience. But I wonder what it would have looked like had it been different. What am I looking for? What are you looking for when we're telling stories, when we're thinking about our day? Because I think that there's a really powerful remembrance, again, in choosing to think about what am I looking for in this moment and creating that. Sometimes it's almost like a calling back of, well, I have been looking for ways that I'm right in this argument. But actually, what I crave is peace and connection. So, what would I like to look for? What could that look like? And that makes a different way in us. I think sometimes it makes a way possible that maybe sometimes our immediate feelings and emotions might not be able to see in those moments. But if we start slowing them down, what am I looking for? Am I looking for a solution? Am I looking for help? Am I looking for um, ways in the world where I can find more home, more places of love? What am I looking for? And I think that's a powerful thing to come back to, especially when we may also be in a season where we feel like we don't have our grounding or our footing. I think a lot of you are in a season of wondering, in a season of transition. There's a lot of uncertainty. Um, what am I looking for in this uncertainty? And sometimes it is, I just want to know where that next dollar is going to come from. And I want you to take that a step further um, into what can I be? What am I looking for? You can be very practical in that. What am I looking for in creating space? What would I like to receive that dollar for? Um, how would I like to feel as I'm creating the things? um, and just taking that a little further in the wondering of what am I looking for in this moment if I'm looking for reassurance, and thinking about too ways we can bring in support sometimes outside of ourselves, or it could just also be space, not or, and both. It could be both. It's probably always both. um, but where can I also lean in with myself? How can I create margin and space for me to connect with me, or even to have time and space for me? I love movies and music, and as the weather's starting to cool down, my soul is feeling a lot more free. I do not enjoy the heat. I have worked on embracing all of the seasons and noticing what am I looking for when I'm hot? What am I looking for? Um, and being present with really thinking about how can I make the season that I'm in a place that I can also enjoy, even when it's not something that I necessarily want to be going through or experiencing. What am I looking for? What are you looking for? I think that's something we get to hold and think about as we head into the weekend and the week ahead. Um, and our card for today, which I've never drawn this card, so it's always exciting because sometimes I've had this card for several years. So it's actually my first deck given to me by Nicole. So this is the Divine Feminine Oracle. And today we have Sarah Lakali, Queen of the Outsiders. Who she is. Sarah Lakali is a symbol of the love that endures, the love that never dies. There are three main legends that surround Saint Sarah. First, she is known as a charitable nobleswoman who collected alms for the poor in the south of France at the beginning of the first century. She had a vision that the female saints who were present at Jesus' death would arrive on their shores. And when they did, around the year 42, Saint Sarah was the first to lovingly welcome them with open arms. The golden legend from the 13th century says that Saint Sarah arrived with the three Marys, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and Mary of Bethany, as one of their slaves. She was said to be an Egyptian, very beautiful, and endowed with healing powers. The third legend is that Saint Sarah is the daughter of Mary Magdalene and Jesus Christ. During the persecution of the early Christians, it is believed that Mary Magdalene fled with young Sarah, Jesus' mother, and Mary of Bethany to the south of France. There she raised Sarah and continued her ministry of love, of becoming what Christ referred to as true human beings, meaning both fully human and fully divine. Saint Sarah is known as the Queen of the Outsiders. She is the beloved patron saint of the Romani people. She is carried from her crypt in the cathedral to the sea on horseback every May 24th by thousands of Romani who would gather annually to celebrate her. There's an ancient chest in St. Sarah's Cathedral that contains the relics of the three Marys. St. Sarah represents the spiritual tenets of the Carmug cross. That's probably not right. Faith and hope, but above all, love. When your soul selects her card, no matter who you are or where you are, St. Sarah's love is the kind that reaches you. There's nothing you need to perfect or prove. There's nothing you need to wait to become. There's only the deep, abiding truth that love is not outside of you. You are never an outsider to love. You are love. Saint Sarah is the ultimate love card, the one that whispers what you've always known, that love is our true purpose and our only true home. Love is where we will all arrive. I'm getting emotional because this is so beautiful. No matter how persecuted, how lonely, how outcast we might feel, no matter how long it has been since we felt loved, Saint Sarah is the healing that comes when we embody love again. She is here to welcome us back to the singular destination we actually never left. Home is only ever as far as we allow ourselves to be separate from the space of our own heart. Soul voice meditation, enter the heart, ask to experience love, true love, and let it feel you, and let it fill you head to soul. Intention. I have arrived. I am where I will always be in love. I love that. I have arrived. I am where I will always be in love. And you guys, I did not read this card before today. I just pulled it and thought this is going to be a new card for all of us. So it's really beautiful. You cannot be separated from love. You are always in love. What are you looking for? Find yourself at home in love. I'll see you next week.